Welcome to day 15 of your 30-day Dental MBA. Congratulations. This is the halfway mark. I bet you we're down to 25% of the dentists still on. If your office is still on board, congratulations. We're talking about how to develop and use internal marketing. Of course, this feeds off day 14, how to use intraoral cameras. Same game. Let's continue right where we left off. Humans talk visually. They code information with their eyes. You have to understand the nature of how information takes place. In fact, let me tell you something that just came out of Massachusetts Institute of Technology in their neurolinguistic research. Have you ever noticed a strange phenomenon where here in Arizona, a 60-year-old Hispanic lady will come over to the United States and she'll be here for 10 years and she never picks up English, or if she does pick it up, she never gets a tone or the pitch, or she never loses that accent. You can't understand it. But she walked over here with her 2-year-old granddaughter. 2-year-old granddaughter went on the playground, picks up English, tone, pitch, 6 months to a year. And you're like, why is grandma 60 doesn't pick it up in a decade? 2-year-old granddaughter picks it up in a year? Well, what we found out is that when you're born, you have the maximum brain development. And your brain is growing the fastest right at the time of birth, and then it starts to slow down, and by 11 it stops. Well, we know that when you're learning at 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 years old, whatever you're learning, your brain is actually connecting physical neuronal track for that information. So the brain is wiring itself as it's adapting to its environment. When you look at all gold medalists, the number one thing that all gold medalists have in common is they were well into their sport at 5 or 6 years old. Look at Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods was playing 18 holes of golf a day when he was 2 to 3 years old. Now here's his, you got your cerebrum, you got your cerebellum, you got your medulla oblongata. Here's your cerebellum that controls your muscular skeletal system. And this brain of Tiger Woods is perceiving that to adapt in his environment, to survive, to be able to reproduce an offspring, he's trying to get this little white ball in a hole. So as he's practicing on his swing, he's laying down physical track. Have you ever noticed that a dentist sits there and he makes his first $100,000, buys a membership country club, gets ping golf clubs fitted to him, shoes, lessons. A decade later, he sucks. He doesn't even break 100 unless he cheats. And then his daughter comes out and joins him when she's 9 years old. First summer on the golf course, and she's shooting par. Here's dad, pings, clubs, Rolex watch, can't even break 100 unless he cheats. We know when people walk up to you and they say, they're in college, and they just say, you know what, I'm just not good in math. Well, my God, all that means is you didn't develop the math part of your brain and wire it like a calculator before you're 11. Look at Mozart. Mozart's father was the music instructor at the university. Mozart wrote his first concerto at 5. Now, do you think anybody just writes a concerto at age 5, or do you think you have to be well coached? The people who are the most successful had that area of their brain developed before it stopped growing. If the first time you ever listened to music or ever pick up a musical instrument or hear music is when you're 11 years old or older, you're never going to carry a tune. If you moved right now to Saudi Arabia or to Iran, it would take someone as smart as a doctor, dentist, or a lawyer probably 10 years to just learn how to read and write Farsi. You would speak it so horribly that the Iranians wouldn't even know what you were saying, but your kid would tag along, they'd pick it up. That's how brain power works. So you got to get in there before they're 11. If your kid isn't into sports or music or math, that's why these Head Start programs are so important. Get these kids out of these dysfunctional environments, start training them while their brain's still growing, and once they're past 11, their teeth are done growing, so fluoridated water isn't going to help, because fluoridated water is a source of fluoride, which is usually not found dietary in the United States and Europe, because we're not a big seafood eating country. But populations like Singapore and Hong Kong and people like in Japan where they eat seafood every day, they get a good nutrient source of fluoride. But, if I'm building a building, once it's built, that's very different than, fluoride is so important, fluoridated water, as the tooth is being built. Not so much after it's being built. But after these people are built, after their brain's done, you got to go on from there. How do these people pick up memory after that? It's with their eyes. They're not going by smell. You go down to the Arizona-Mexican border, And when you're coming back with your family from Mexico, they got German Shepherds on the side of the road, cars crawling by, and maybe every day or so, one of those German Shepherds will take off chasing a truck, and they have to pull that truck to the side, completely disassemble it, and find like maybe a pot in the middle of a car tire, in the middle of the frame. That dog could smell that from a truck 10 feet away as it was rolling by at 5 miles an hour. Dogs smell 100,000 times better than us. You don't smell. You take in your environment by your eyes. All monkeys, apes, all mammals do this, okay? That's your big sensory input is eyes. So marketing, we're going to have to communicate. Internal marketing. What are we marketing? Once again, it's the golden rule. It starts off Judaism. What is hateful to you, do not do to your fellow man. That's the entire law. All the rest is commentary. Internal marketing is more about action than thought. You might think you're a quality dentist, but what actions are out there to be perceived by the visual environment that your consumers, customer, patients are picking up? Number one, you know, it's so funny when you see these cosmetic dentists out there preaching that you should do cosmetic dentistry, and they got some of the ugliest, most hideous teeth on the planet. You know, when your dentist says that, you know, you should take out these amalgams and replace it, and the patient's looking up, and all she sees is black fillings in the dentist's teeth and black fillings in the hygienist's teeth, she's sitting there thinking, why me? It'd be like me going up to you and say, you know, you should really wear a wig if you're a bald man. I mean, then why don't I? I mean, you practice what you preach. You wouldn't go to an aerobics instructor. She weighed 500 pounds. The best internal marketing is We Care calls. If you want to miss that, that's like sending out your football team without a quarterback. You call everybody that gets a shot that night, and you sit there and the patient gets an injection, they get a call that night, and you just call them out and say, hey, Frank, Howard Farran, your family dentist, just making sure the anesthetic wore off and everything's okay, while your assistant is calling it this patient you did a week ago Monday night. Hey, Frank, this is Jan, Dr. Farran's assistant. Remember me? Relationship-driven, not transaction-driven. You want the lifetime value of the patient, not just the revenue from this one filling or crown. Hey, you've had a week to drive that filling around the block. How's everything doing? Just want to make sure it's all right. 10% of these people have serious questions, serious concerns, and you got to stop it there so they don't drift off into another office. In fact, the saddest thing I think is when a patient comes in, and, you know, the front office are like, well, you know, did you just move to Phoenix? No, I've lived here 10 years. So when was the last time you went to that? 6 months ago. Well, why didn't you go back there? You know, I just soon not talk about it. Well, we don't need to know his name. And remember, the receptionist, if she's got the human skills, she can suck it out of their brain on the phone or when you set him down to check him in, and she'll say, well, you know, I went to this dentist, I won't say his name, but it's across the street, and, you know, I went in there and everything was fine. I went in for a routine cleaning. He told me I needed a crown, so I said, all right, you know, the dang thing was $700, and I had to pay half of it, $350 out of my own pocket. That was a lot of money, and had to put on my credit card, and you know what? Half a year later, I still couldn't chew on that tooth. Then I get this stupid index card, this greeting card that I'm supposed to come in for another cleaning. What's he want to do now? A crown on the other side so I can't eat anywhere? And then, you know, that's pretty sad. You paid $700 for a crown. You didn't understand why it hurts, and you had no former relationship where you thought you could just get on the phone and call Howard at his house or call him by his first name. You didn't know the name of his assistant if you felt intimidated to talk to the doctor. The assistant didn't have a uniform and name tag on. He didn't remember her name, so he couldn't remember which girl it was. He knows the lady at the front. He never caught her name either. No one gave him a business card except the dentist. He didn't want to call the office, whereas my office, Jan, the dental assistant, gave him a card. Ellen might give her her own card, the front office card. Hell, they might have 3 or 4 cards to call. And why is there no operation and logistics to make sure that people with instructions and warranties were your parting shot? The last thing I say to them on my page, I say, hey, I put out my hand, I shake your hand, I say, will you do me the biggest favor? Yeah, sure. What is it, Dr. Farran? Howard, please tell me. If I do 100 crowns, they're all perfect, and no one tells me back, that's fine, whatever. But you know what? If I do something to you and it's a bad result and you don't tell me, that's the feedback I need. I need to know when I kick a field goal if it went in or not. If I kick this field goal and no one tells me what happened, I don't know whether I should adjust to the left, the right, farther, deeper, shallow. If something goes wrong, I have to know about it, because if you don't tell me something goes wrong, I'll keep doing it to the next guy. Remember, you want to treat other people like you want to be treated? If I do something bad on you, do you want me to do it to the next 100 people after you? I need to know what went wrong. Help us out. Talk visually. Internal marketing is internal cameras. This is right here. This is a double flossing filling. He's got a double flossing cavity underneath the double flossing filling. No, I can't fill it. Look at that. That little piece of tooth there, that's like palming a basketball. See that little bleeding thing in the middle right there? I got to do a root canal there. When he visually sees that, he understands. I have more people coming across the street. Now remember, which is better? To put salt and pepper and sugar in all your food, or to put curry in your food, or to have no curry, no salt, no sugar, no pepper? See, it depends on where you're born. Everybody from Vietnam that comes over to America, first 3 weeks of eating everything they get their hands on, they're sitting there saying, gosh, is everything so sweet and salty and sugary? God, everything's so sweet, I hate it. Well, see, they were born and raised with no sugar in their food, so they're always going to think their non-sugar, steamed vegetables, rice, all that kind of stuff tastes best. You go to India. If you don't like the first dish, you won't like the last dish. Hell, they put curry in everything. I mean, they bathe with curry. Curry's in everything. Well, my mama never used curry one time from birth to 11. It's a very different taste to me. I've adapted to it now. Now I actually crave it. But if whatever mama sticks in your mouth is what you think tastes good. When you remember your little kid when you stuck a pickle in his mouth for the first time and you went, that's really what a pickle tastes like. It tastes like this. But after you eat 5 or 10 of them, now you're used to it. After you have 20, you're like, you know what? I crave that one thing, that pickle thing. Now I like it. I never, I grew up in Kansas. I never ate Mexican food. Back in my generation from 62 to 72, we used ketchup. Well, now they sell more salsa than ketchup as of about 1990. My kids are growing up in Arizona, which was stolen from Mexico. These kids have been eating jalapenos and salsa. They eat jalapenos. I'm sitting there thinking, okay, that's all in my head. I know I can eat this. I'll eat one. My head's sweating. My tongue's burning. I finally have to get up, eat some chips. And like, how the hell is my 3-year-old chewing off jalapenos? And I'm sitting there, I do it, I'm almost in the hospital. So what is your first experience for 20 years with the dentist? I just went in there every 6 months for cleanings, and if I had a cavity, he filled it. And then I grew up, and I went to college, and I moved out to Arizona with a job at Intel, Motorola, or whatever, and I got this new dentist, and I went in there the first time, he said I need to crown my first crown. And then a year or two later, another thing went, and I need another crown. And I'm sitting there thinking, my dentist back home in St. Louis, Joe Blaze, he was good. If I had a problem, he'd just do a cleaning or fill it. Now I'm going to Dr. Crown everything, and I'm not made of money, and I don't want a $700 crown. My insurance only pays half a crown, pays 80% of fillings, and fillings are only $100. I'm looking for a new dentist who'll do a filling. Well, see, no one showed him with the picture. This is internal marketing. No one showed him what this thing looks like. You can't fill that. See, but if they see that, say, look, I would love to fill. I'd love to put a sealant on this tooth. But it doesn't need a sealant. It doesn't need a cleaning. It doesn't need a filling. There's nothing left of your tooth. The damn tooth fell out. The only thing I can do is a root canal and a crown. Now we have visually communicated. That's internal marketing. You tell someone, oh, by the way, you have a filling back here and it's cracked and we'll need to replace that with a $700 crown. And they sit there and, damn, I don't want $700. I'm not having any wants because I didn't know I had a crack. I don't know I have pain. So I have no unmet wants. And you say I need this thing, but I don't know. Maybe you're particular. Maybe you're being anal. Maybe you just want $700. I don't know. I'll think about it. I'll give you a call. You sit there and you turn off the light. You stick the internal camera in there and you say, hey, buddy, can you see that? Can you see that right here? Right there. See that right across the top of the tooth there? Can you see that? Yeah, it's broke. That's right. It's cracked. You leave that there for a year, and you know what? You're going to need a root canal and a crown. Right now, we can take that out and put in a nice gold inlay. Those last the longest. Or if you want tooth color, that doesn't last as long, but it looks great. Whatever you want to do. But right now, it's a gold onlay or a tooth colored onlay. Wait a year, buddy, and that's fine. I would rather do a root canal than play 18 holes of golf or make love with my wife. I mean, a root canal lasts an hour, it lasts longer, it's fun. I got all this equipment. I love doing root canals, but you know what? Most patients say it wasn't that bad, but they don't like giving me, $700 for a root canal. So it's up to you. I don't care. I'd just soon you wait 2 years and let me do a root canal and a crown. But if you don't want to do that, then just come in now and get an inlay, onlay, crown, whatever, tooth color, gold. I don't care if you want it blue. Just let me know whatever you want to do. It's your tooth, not mine. Mary, whatever you decide to do, we'll do. I'm here for you. You're not here for me. Internal cameras are the #1 thing in internal marketing. Hook them up to your gosh darn VCR, your cable television, get all of Gordon's patient education videos, make sure you got your patient education sheets, your warranties. Everything in America comes with a warranty. Best internal marketing. God, you got to find out what's wrong. Exit interviews. Every person that leaves. Were you satisfied? And do the 5-point system. Don't do yes or no like they're doing here at Chrysler, because most of the research is on the 5-point system, where 5 is excellent, 5 is 5 is very satisfied, 4 is satisfied, 3 is neutral, 2 is somewhat dissatisfied, 1 is very unsatisfied. And the difference between a 5 of very satisfied and a 4 of somewhat unsatisfied has a 6 times more likelihood of never coming back. You know everything's visual. Look at McDonald's. McDonald's entire menu is visually based. Hamburgers, fries, Cokes, malts. In fact, these menus are getting less and less words and more pictures. And apes look at that and go, me want that. Me want hamburger, fry, Coke. Everybody's going visual. This lady in here, here's a man come in, and thank God I took a picture of this tooth and put it in his chart. Wouldn't come back for 6 months cleanings, and the receptionist asked that why. The lady yells out, we grew up in Des Moines, Iowa, and we had a good dentist, and he didn't pull out everybody's teeth and give them dentures. If the tooth was bad, I don't care what it took, root canals, crowns, we save our tooth. I sent my husband into your office, and that gosh darn doctor, I'd like to string him by a flagpole, he pulled one of my husband's good teeth, and now he can't chew back there, yada, yada, yada. And she said, Margaret, will you please come down? You need to tell Dr. Farran this to his face, okay? Don't sit there back on the phone. This is what Rick Kirscher taught me. When patients are upset, confrontational tolerance, get over it, just have them come down, put them in the treatment room. I walked in there, this lady was down there, and the best way to get them in there, they say, no, I don't care to. Mary, what did every major religion say? Treat other people like you want to be treated. If Dr. Farran pulled a perfectly good molar tooth on your husband, do you want him to do that to everyone else in Ahwatukee? He's got one of the busiest practices in Arizona. You need to come down here and tell him. I walk in the room, she's all hussy-bussy, and I sit down, I pull out this picture. Are you talking about this picture here? Actually, Margaret, I didn't pull the tooth. I just pulled a sheet back and say, come here, jump. Jump to Howie. There he was standing on the end of the diving board. Hell's flapping in the wind. She looked at that. She's like, that was his tooth? I said, Margaret, it's flapping in the wind. Here's the x-ray. Look, it's not even attached to bone. If the guy would have sneezed, it would have flew across the room. And I didn't want this big gum abscess infection to start hurting the tooth next to it. If I didn't take this tooth out, flop it in the wind, this one would have gone out. Remember, you did not work on Grandpa. You worked on one part of an existing social network. Maybe it's just him and his wife. Maybe it's him and his wife and 2 bridge players next door and 2 grandchildren, whatever. Everyone is part of a social network, and word travels fast at a social network. And if you hack a patient off and you really want to know how many people it's going to hack off, remember this. I don't care who you think you are. I don't care how famous you are. The average funeral has 22 people. And funerals average about 22 people almost anywhere you go. And what that says is that that's the really important social network. If you're not going to someone's funeral, I doubt when he has a bad dental experience, that person's calling you on the phone saying, hey, guess what happened to me today? I had a bad dental experience. 99% of the people you'd be sitting on the phone thinking, okay, and why are you calling me? What does this have to do with me? You have a very small social network of your in-laws, your family, your brothers, sisters, a few close friends, whatever. But by the time you drop dead and die, the average funeral is about 22 people, and that's who's going to find out about exceptional service and generate referrals, or exceptionally unsatisfied service and generate a lot of people drifting away. You never lose a patient. You always lose a social network. The action was with a patient, but the loss was either a social network or the gain was a referral of a social network. Internal marketing, you got to hand out all the scientific third-person endorsement literature that sells your cause. If you're pro-amalgam, if you're Mark Troilo or any of these guys that are pro-amalgams or whatever, Rick Kirshner, that's great. Hand out safety of dental amalgams and update by ADA. If you're against amalgams, then you can hand out photos of this. Here's, in the old days, remember they used to do apicoectomy retrofills on root canal teeth with amalgam. Then amalgam would all leach out and stain the tissue. Now then they went to zinc-free amalgams. That helped a lot. Now they go to EBA and some composites and synthetics that are a lot better. Or you can sit there and say, look at this. Here's an example of amalgam. You know, it expands, creeps, and crawls. Look at these shatters here. Look at that amalgam just expanded, cleaved off the side of the tooth. You got stress fractures all over it. You know, it's like the lawyer. You know, you go into a lawyer, and I don't care if you're innocent or guilty, or if you're the defendant or the plaintiff. Tell a lawyer what side you want to take. Any good lawyer can almost take any side, unless he's ethical opposed to it, obviously. I like intro cameras the most for internal marketing. This one is very, very important. A lot of times we do dentistry that blows up 3, 4, 5 years later, and they come in, all they remember is, yeah, this tooth hurts. Now you're telling me it needs a root canal and a crown, and that's the one you did a filling on a year ago. So, you know, here's a person that comes in with amalgams. I take this out, and look at this. Look at this crack going all the way down, a black crack all the way to the nerve. Now, my gurus, my idols in cosmetic dentistry, Hornbrook, Dickerson, Rosenthal, Ross Nash, Ron Feynman, Goldstein, all these guys are, Ron Jackson, are saying, you know what? No, Howard, you know, that's a black crack. Still do adhesive dentistry and bomb that. But I like to CYA, cover your ass. I like to sit there and turn off the light, stick in the intro camera and say, Margaret, look, you know, you got this filling, you're 6. You're 26. It's been there 20 years. You remember I told you that you call these white fillings cosmetic dentistry, but we call them adhesive dentistry. It adhesively pulls the whole tooth back together. You know, these black fillings are wedges. Look at this big crack here. Now, this tooth, when you came in, it didn't hurt. You're still, you know, you're 36 years old or 26 years old. I'm still going to do the tooth-colored filling, but I'm going to take a picture of this. I'm going to put one picture in the chart, and I'm going to put one picture of this attached to your warranty. And Jen, I want you to write on the warranty, this silver filling wedge, 50% mercury, already wedged a huge crack down the floor of the tooth. I think it's in the nerve. I don't know if this thing's going to need a root canal and a crown or 5 years down the road or not. I don't know. But I know one thing. I'm telling you right now, I am not going to warranty this filling for 5 years, Margaret, because all I've done now is numbed it up, take out the filling. Look at that. You left these in too long, and thank God look at this one. Now, this one was fine. This is all clean underneath. Look at the gunk underneath the first one. The first one's black. The second one's fine. And the last one has got a black crack on the floor. I think the middle tooth's going to do great. I'll warranty that for 10 years. The front one, you know, we're lucky we got there, but that back one, that might have been in there too long. Well, what is she, talk about internal marketing, what is she sitting there thinking there? Damn, I didn't know that. And she starts saying things like, well, was it bad dentistry? I say, well, okay, Margaret, look, you're 26. You got that filling when you're 6. Okay, let's look at cars 20 years ago. They have airbags, anti-lock brakes, 4-wheel drive, AFF cassette, power window. That was good damn dentistry 20 years ago. I wouldn't do that in 1999. In fact, I'll tell you what, the year 2000, I got to school in 87. I would say, and Jan, you've been with me since day one, how long would you think it takes, Jan? We've talked about this at length and going back over our records. How long do you think it takes before almost everything we do in the office is extinct, no longer used, and we're all new materials on everything from A to Z in our dental office? And Jan says, you know, about every 4 to 5 years, we don't do anything we did 5 years ago. So hell, the half-life in dentistry or medicine is about 5 years. I got some physician friends at Mayo Clinic. They say at Mayo Clinic, my gosh, for major cancers and heart disease, some of the stuff, the half-life, they think in medicine might be under 3 years now. And then when we put in the tooth-colored fillings, you know, we give them an after picture so they see the before picture, black, clean, cracks. Then they see the after picture, all tooth-colored. And then what is she thinking? Damn, I'm going to get out that silver filling in front of it and the one behind it. And how many other ones do I have? Because I think they've been in there 20 years too. You know, people don't understand that, you know, when you're chasing best product, that's the hardest to defend in dentistry, because if you got the best product at a restaurant, the patient can perceive that. They know the difference between Ruth's Chris and Taco Bell. You know, Disneyland, they understand the difference between Disney World and Six Flags over Mid-America. Consumers can see the difference between a $30,000 Suburban and a $5,000 Yugo. But, you know, all these famous cosmetic composites and all these things, like, look at this stuff. Do you think any patient's going to appreciate if you do your filling with one versus the other? Would they know which one of these are complete junk and extinct and which ones are the best? They don't know any of this stuff. You know, the best use of internal marketing also with the camera is when you sit there and stick an intraoral, turn off the light, stick an intraoral camera in their mouth. I still see dentists all day long. Go back to that shot of me pointing on this. And this is real important, where You know, I go into labs all over America, and I see them asking for all porcelain margins here because dentists still believe they're looking at metal there. That is not metal. That's a tooth. If you took off that crown, that root color would be yellow. The difference between this one has no metal, it's all ceramic, so the tooth is illuminated, and you're looking at the window of a house with the lights on or a sunroof. You're looking at root here, you're looking in the window of a house with no light on. If you pulled off this PFM, that tooth root there would be just as yellow as this. In fact, here's what it looks like when you're patient, you turn off the lights, you stick an intraoral camera behind their mouth, and you see, the reason that tooth is dark up there is because you got porcelain over metal, and that's why the tooth's gray. And we take that off and use all ceramic, then light can flow through this tooth. And if light can flow through this, it illuminates this area, and it's all yellow and colorful and looks nice. So the other thing we teach these patients is, you know, use analogies like say, well, you know, in an earthquake, you notice that the bridge in San Francisco, the double-decker cement bridge, it couldn't move. So when the ground moved, it collapsed and killed 20 or 30 people. The Golden Gate Bridge could sway. All the cars on there, they were having fun. They were playing, you know, Third Eye Blind, dancing. It was fun. It either moves or it breaks. If this diving board was all porcelain, you go out there, you jump and shatter, you'd cut yourself. The board flexes. That's tensile strength. Tell them same thing sidewalk. Why do they put joints in? Because if your ground can't shift and it's locked in there, this is locked in there, it cracks. Have you ever seen those interstate overpasses where they have these huge joints where the land, you know, they know in an average earthquake, the land moves maybe, it's actually not that much. I mean, you know, the most of the small ones, the ground's hardly moving at all. But in a big earthquake, the ground might only move maybe a foot. So what do they got there? They know that they're not going to have a 3-foot movement, but they have enough so it can move and still be braced. And we're trying to learn how to earthquake-proof buildings by making them move. But that big earthquake in Mexico in 1985, that took a lot of our dreams out because the most earthquake-proof state-of-the-art buildings suffered the most damage. So everybody's kind of back to the drawing boards. We obviously haven't figured out earthquake building. We haven't figured out how to make things that don't break. But gold, you know, you call it precious. And then you call non-gold non-precious. What the hell's precious and non-precious? That's religious philosophy attributes. Be a scientist. It's a base metal or it's a noble metal. Noble metals like silver, palladium, gold, they don't oxidize. They're noble because they don't oxidize. They don't rust. Base metal oxidizes. Statue of Liberty's copper, it oxidizes green. Iron oxidizes, it turns orange. Don't use precious, non-precious. Talk things they know. What does an earthquake and porcelain have in common? Well, when tectonic plates either crash together, that's called convergence, or what we would call in porcelain is we would call that compressive. When they horizontally slide past each other, that's called transform, and that's what we would call shear strength. Or when they pull apart, you call that divergence, or dentists would call that tensile strength. So basically, here was the biggest earthquake lately here at 5:12 a.m. on April 18th, 1906. The section of the San Andreas Fault snapped near San Francisco. In Marin County, just north of the city, the rocks of the Pacific side of the fault moved over 20 feet in 40 seconds. So I don't care what the overpass things look like. If this son of a gun, if the Earth decides to go move 20 feet in 40 seconds, a lot of people are going to die. But there's compressive, or what the earthquake people would call convergence. And there's tensile, moves apart. There's shear strength. And we know that gold will last the longest because it's soft. Don't call it precious. It's noble. It doesn't oxidize, but it's soft. It can move. Show people before and after pictures so they can get what you're saying. That's internal marketing. You know, this picture here is the greatest because this picture here is showing that, you know, here's the silver black fillings. Patients can see that. They can understand that. They understand the market differentiation of going from silver and gold to tooth colored. Okay, that's pure market differentiation. But you got to educate your patients that. Internal marketing is talking English, calling these, you know, we're going to not do peanut butter and jelly probing. We're not going to mix probe. We're going to probe where the toothbrush goes. They never had a cavity or filling or crown or root canal. 33333. And we're going to go back and probe where they've had, you know, where half their teeth have a filling going in between their teeth, a flossing cavity, a flossing filling, a flossing crown, a flossing root canal, and that's where all their gut disease, 4, 5, 4, 5, 4, 5. That's internal marketing. Internal marketing is building up yourself. I know people are saying, well, isn't internal marketing something like putting a magnet on your refrigerator or something like that? It goes deeper than that. First, always chase best product, okay, with your internal marketing. Put all your plaques and diploma in your waiting room. Every time you take a continuing education course, every time I go up to Gordon's, he gives you a graduation plaque. Well, don't put it home. Don't put it in a scrapbook. You know, what are you going to do? Put it on your bed at night like your wife's going to be impressed? Put this stuff where your customers are trading with you. When they walk into Days Dental, I mean, it looks like a mausoleum for a dead Egyptian dentist. Every time you go to Pankey Institute, you have your stuff there, the Mish Institute. Internal marketing is when you use photographs to communicate with little bitty, itty-bitty explanations that are maybe 20, 30 words or less. And this is what my marketing instructor used to always shove in my face because he said I'm a little long-winded, a little get off on tangents. Anybody knows me, sometimes they read my article and they don't even know what the hell I was talking about. And I confess. But remember this when you're writing in advertising. Writing too many memos with too many words, follow the lead of Honest Abe. Abraham Lincoln delivered his Gettysburg Address over 130 years ago. Look at how his words compare. The Gettysburg Address had 272 words. A bag of Lay's potato chips has 401 words on it. An IRS Form 1040 has 418, and the average USA Today cover story is 1,200 words. USA Today, I mean, this is bubblegum news, and they take 1,200 words to say nothing, and Abraham Lincoln said the gosh darn Gettysburg Address in 272 words. My marketing instructor used to always say, in marketing and sales, if you can't say it in 272 words, you never even said it. That's what Jack Welch said. He said, if your salesman can explain why you are number 1, 2, or 3 in your field with the best product, best service, or best price, if you can't explain it on an index card, your customers don't understand the differentiation, the point that you're trying to make. So remember that. Buy photo albums from me at 602-598-0001, and then what you ought to do is you ought to set a goal that here's my photo album, it's made from Walmart, that you're going to replace the pictures and use your own verbiage, you're going to do it in 24 months. Put them on. I got corresponding, every page of my photo album is correlated with a patient-mounted board. I'm not trying to sell you this stuff. Actually, I hate this stuff because the margin on it's almost nothing. It takes about 20 hours for a $7.50 lady with 401k and uniform to assemble these things. It's actually truly a pain in my, well, I won't say it, but the deal is, get your own camera, do your own dentistry, do your own work. I don't care. I'm just trying to give you a tool so you can really implement success. Internal marketing is communication, intro cameras, showing people before and after pictures. Here's the difference between an all porcelain crown and a porcelain fused to metal. Just the average dentist spends $9,000 per year on marketing. $9,000 per year on marketing, and about 95% of them, after spending $9,000, cannot tell me how many patients are brought in, and how much dentistry was diagnosed and presented, and how much was accepted and paid for. The first thing any gosh darn businessman will say, what was your return on your investment? Oh, I don't know. I just spent $9 grand a year on marketing. I have no flipping idea what it did. Come on, you're more sophisticated than that. Internal marketing is developing a relationship. Why does everybody at Taco Bell, Holiday Inn, Ramada, uniforms, name tags, and not you? How come when I walk into a hospital, I know this girl's the LPN, this girl's a registered nurse, I know you're the doctor, the stethoscope says your name, MD, tattooed right on your shirt. I know you're with the phone company installing a phone line. I bet you anything you're the maintenance man. And I know you're the patient because you're in some apron with your butt hanging out the back. Everybody knows who they are in a hospital just by walking around. If your ass is hanging out wide open in the back, you're a patient, all the way to the LPN. Everybody knows who they are, where they are. It's the relationship. All marketing is visual. Try to upsell every order. When you go to McDonald's and order a Big Mac, what is the first thing their employees say? They say, well, would you like fries with that? 40% say yeah. If you order a hamburger fries, they say, well, would you like Coke with that? 40% say yeah. If you order a hamburger fry and a Coke, they say, would you like a hot apple pie? About 18% say yes. You call up a dental office and they make a cleaning for their kid. You don't even ask them if they have another kid. You don't even say, well, Mom, did you know Dr. Farran always runs 2 hygienists at the same time? So when Megan comes in with Chris, in room 2 for a cleaning. Why don't you come in with Pam Radowski? In fact, your husband could even come in at the same time with Gina. You could all come in together. I mean, upsell every order. You know, in fact, the number one thing that Bill Strupp taught me more than anything, went down to Clearwater, Florida. Every year he's got his 2-day deal there. The guy burns about, I don't know, 40, 50 carousels and slides in 2 days. It's like a marathon of the most wild, comprehensive cases. Bill Strupp taught me this, the smartest, most brilliant thing I ever learned straight out of school. He said, Howard, you numbed up the whole quadrant. Patients hate shots. If you just say to the patient, look, I've already numbed up a quarter of your mouth. All these teeth are numb. I'm going to do this filling. The one in front of it, behind it's 20 years old. While you're already numb, do you want me to do the whole quadrant? That way, 1/4 of your mouth will be done? I mean, he's in Clearwater, Florida. What I like about Strupp is I like his prototype because he's like Phoenix. He's in the city limits of Clearwater. He's a middle-class area. You can drive 5 miles from his house and never see a Mercedes-Benz. My gosh, when you're in Key Biscayne at the Pankey Institute, I saw like nine Rolls Royces the first week 1 of the Pankey Institute. You know, some people in rich money, Bill Strupp, he's not in Key Biscayne, Florida. He's in Clearwater, man. That's where if you got a truck and you're playing Garth Brooks, you get all the chicks, okay? Technology is a commodity. People are the competitive edge in creating solutions that delight the customers. Why would you have the Three Stooges in your waiting room? That is a true bona fide picture I pulled out of a waiting room at a dentist. That's the stupidest damn thing I ever seen. And what the duck is that? That looks like a bunch of dentists, doctors, and lawyers at graduation. Looks like the 101st Congress. There's not an original thought around running those ducks. You sit there and you build your deck in your reception area room to sell. It's based on the television, Meredith Communications, your plaques, your trophies, and put something about your personality in there. These Meredith Communications, internal marketing, they're great. They play a video loop. In fact, half the cases in that Meredith video loop are actually mine. But I never put my name on there because if you're buying this for you, why am I so ego deficient? Why would I want to put my name in there? I put none of my names on any of my photos. And dentists call me all the time and say, is there any way you care if I use this? Man, we're sovereign, brother, and professional colleagues. Steal anything you want from me. I sold everything I know from the dentists that went before me or dentists out there today or from my dad. The only original thought I had is, actually I thought I had original thought, then I burped and lost it. But and then in your waiting room, put something original, your personality. That's the only thing I come up with is dental stuff. I realize that if you take away dentistry, I don't have a personality. But sell yourself, sell your staff, build them up. Put something exciting. If your staff, I got one staff, Jan, that's got I don't know how many. She collects. What was the name of that cat? Garfield. Her room's got like 10, 20 Garfields in there. You wouldn't believe how many stupid people collect Garfields. But, you know, if that's what they like, whatever. You know, just show some personality, talk visually, put the intro cameras on the ceiling, invest in marketing. Here's what it looks like when you're laying on your back. And I believe that's room 8 in my office. And there you are laying there, and you're looking up at the floor, and it's showing before and after dentistry. It's showing this another photo laying up there showing and explaining the difference between all porcelain crowns. Another internal marketing thing that a lot of people think is cheesy and I just think is genius is people are still worried. Remember in I forgot what it was, about 5 years ago, a big story broke that this 24-year-old blonde virgin named Kimberly Burkalis caught AIDS at the dentist. Do you guys remember that story? One did, one didn't. First of all, look how stupid people are. I mean, you give people the answer in the story and they don't even see it. You know, we were talking about that at the break about airbags. You know, the government's always coming out with all their data on airbag safety, and they present all their data and say, well, that's why you should mandate airbags and anti-lock brakes and all that. Well, the data they present, their own damn data shows that every time you put a safety feature in a car, it's going to kill more people. Why? When you put seatbelts in a car, more people die per miles driven than without seatbelts. When you put airbags in, more people die. Not from the airbag going off and killing someone, from the fact that when you're in a seatbelt with an airbag, you take more risk. Remember in economics? You make decisions based on incentives. It's risk versus reward. And now they're driving down the road. They got an airbag, they got a seatbelt on. They're in a really good car. It's 90 miles an hour is nothing. And all the data shows all this stuff kills more people. One of my most favorite economists, Stephen Landsberg, said it best. Stephen Landsberg, another economist at the University of Chicago, says, you know, if you want to get people to drive safer, You don't make, if you want to reduce casualties, you don't sit there and make them feel safer to take more risk. What you do is you take out the seatbelts, you take out the airbags, and right in front of the steering wheel, you'd mount a 6-inch dagger. Everybody would be driving down the road like, holy shit, if I even bump the car in front of me, I'm dead. He said people would be driving around town 10 miles an hour. They'd stop. Every time there'd be a stoplight, they'd be 2 cars apart from each other. There'd be no accidents if everybody had a dagger in their steering wheel. Well, the same thing with Kimberly Gals. Check out how the story broke. People magazine, a 24-year-old blonde virgin catches AIDS at the dental office. David Acker. Now think about that. First of all, a 24-year-old blonde virgin. Okay, first of all, that doesn't even exist. Not only is she a 24-year-old blonde virgin, she was smart enough to be in college at Gainesville, Florida. First thing I said, let me see a picture of her. I mean, what has she got? One eye and a big old huge wart with black hairs coming out of her head? I looked at her picture in 2 seconds and say, you're 24 years old, you're blonde, you're at Gainesville, and maybe it'll take a 6-pack or 12-pack, but you ain't going to be a virgin at 24. And he says, not only that, she caught it from her dentist. And I'm like, yeah, right. So then it's a front page story. Everybody's wigged out. Well, what happens 4 years later after she's dead, after David Acker's insurance had to pay $1 million malpractice and Cigna was involved in it because she was on some HMO indemnity and PPO plan, whatever. Somebody's purging charts in Gainesville, Florida, student health clinic, and they run across old Kimberly's gosh darn chart. And what did they find in Kimberly's chart? What was she treated twice for in Gainesville, Florida? In the student health clinic. Remember, she's a 24-year-old blonde virgin who was treated twice. What? For gonorrhea? No. Syphilis? No. Chlamydia? No. AIDS? No. Twice treated for perianal genital warts. Hell, maybe she was a virgin after all. But I'm telling you, people look at the data, the answer's in there, and they believe whatever they want to do. But I still have people coming in all day long, and they're asking them, why did you have any concerns? Why do you leave the last dental office? Mostly little old ladies over 65. These are the ones that, look at the dust on the baseboard. That's how they judge your infection control. They sit there and say, well, I don't know. I'm concerned. I don't want to catch anything at the dental office, and I don't think that guy over there is very clean. And our receptionist say, why? I mean, these are my friends. Well, hell, if the dust on his baseboard has anything to do with his instruments, I'm not letting him put it in my mouth. That's why I have the cleaning crew come to my office every night, because I don't think assistants and hygienists and receptionists and dentists are looking at baseboards and dust on ceiling fans. Cleaning people, they see things differently. I really believe in dividing up skills. Whatever you're good at, stick with that. In America, if you're really good at it and you get better than everyone else, the money naturally follows. I'm not into cleaning. I don't understand cleaning. I don't own a lawnmower. I got a swimming pool. I've never cleaned it. I'll come home from work. My wife says, she said to me, like, when we first moved into this house in Arizona, she says, honey, you never clean the dishes. I'm like, come on, we live 90 feet from Mexico. I'm not going to clean the goddamn dishes. I'd rather stay in the gosh darn dental office, do one more filling, and pay someone for 4 days to clean dishes. I'm going to do only dentistry. Someone else can mow the lawn. Someone else can clean the dishes. Someone else can do all that. And but what they do is when they come in here, first thing we do in the office, internal marketing, we have central sterilization, give them a tour of the office. And then we walk them through our infection control deal and say, look at this, man, stay there. You still have people worried about infection. And when you find out that they're worried about catching a disease, don't go in denial. In 2020, 60 Minutes, People Magazine comes out with something. They have big brand names, big loyalty, big followings. Hell, the commercials during their programs are $100,000 a minute. And you think you're just going to stand up and say, oh, they're full of it. They're baloney. That Reader's Digest article, that was against dentistry. That was all malarkey. Let me tell you something, Doc. They got a lot more faith in Reader's Digest than you, okay? So don't fight them. Go with them. When Reader's Digest came out and that People magazine article came out, I always take a little card table out in the waiting room. I dress it up kind of like when you're a little kid and you had your little Mary statues and all your candles and all that kind of stuff. And you have this little table out there, and I put a big stack of the Reader's Digest, and I put a big old sign that I make on Microsoft Word or blow it up in desktop publishing or something. I say, after you read this article, you'll be glad more than ever that you go to Today's Dental. People already reading like, oh, this is bad. Oh, wow, look at all the bad stuff going on in dentistry. Boy, I'm sure glad I go here. Hell, these people don't even know the damn argument. I told them to be glad. That's like on the Yellow Page. When you have a Yellow Page ad, if you just put call above the number, it just talks to their unconscious. Call, and they just pick up the phone, they're calling. It actually has been massive research on it. Just putting the word call above it increased the response about 25% because that call picked up by the eye went to the unconscious and bypassed the guy's gosh darn subconscious and preconscious thoughts. I mean, conscious thoughts and subconscious thoughts. So, I mean, it's amazing how people work. But when they get to your operatory, you deal with that confrontation. I sit there and I go, I walk in the room and there's Grandma, and Jan said, this lady, she asked if we autoclave our instruments, and that, that's the AIDS story. So I walk in and go, Margaret, how you doing? Hey, Jan told me that basically you were concerned and you were asking if we sterilize our instruments. Yeah, yes, I was. And it's always little ladies. I don't know why. It just is. And I said, well, why were you concerned about that? Well, I'm concerned. What are you concerned about? Well, I don't want to catch any, disease in the office. Well, what disease are you talking about? Well, the AIDS. And I say, Margaret, AIDS is a sexually transmitted disease. I had you scheduled for a crown. Would you feel safer? Maybe I wore a condom during the procedure? Jan, get me the condom. And Jan gets all mad, and she won't open. I open the drawer and get a condom. I say, Margaret, our policy at Say Dental, if you want me to wear a condom during the root canal filling or crown, you have to put it on me. If you put it on me, I'll wear it during the dental procedure. Margaret, you remember when you were back in like the 1920s when some journalist in LA said that somebody caught gonorrhea off of a doorknob in the LAX airport? Half the men in America went, yes! And then about 3 weeks later, some other microbiologist cultured syphilis off of a toilet seat. And then the newspaper saying that now not only could you catch gonorrhea off of a public doorknob, now you can catch syphilis off of a toilet seat. Now, if your husband came home after 45 years and he had AIDS, syphilis, or gonorrhea, would you tell him to start not using doorknobs, or would you know he was at the Holiday Inn? If you came home pregnant, you think you touch a doorknob or a dental drill? Talk straight with your patients. Might embarrass the crap out of them. I think it's funny, but then again, I'm socially retarded. But show these people your infection control. Tell them no one's getting pregnant. In fact, I love Real Christian Death. She's just utterly fantastic. But it's funny. Everybody has different perspectives. Like last time I was talking to her, and she was telling me about all the infection in drains and suction lines and cavities, and how people need to sterilize out their suction drains, and after each use they need to pour these chemicals down there because there's all these microorganisms living in the suction lines. Well, Rill is a PhD microbiologist. Her world of mind, I mean, it's way over my head. Hell, and she's talking to Gordon all the time, so I mean, their thoughts are too far over my head. I didn't have the heart to say to her, Rill, I don't really care what's in the drain. Because when I take a shower, I pee in the drain. And when I'm done, I don't flow all these things on there. But everybody has their different perspective, so pay attention to it. What we've done, though, is we've tried to create the aura of infection control. I've reduced all the doorknobs in my office, and the foot pedals. When they go into the bathrooms, no pedals there. It just gives this big aura of infection control. Ray Kroc said, if your restaurant is spotless, they think the food's clean. If your restaurant's dirty and the food's immaculate, they think the food's dirty. It's all perception. Perception equals reality. I even carry this out to the toilet. And this shows my commitment to infection control, because if you ever use one of these things, there's no handle. In fact, when you sit on it, if you wipe from behind, flush all over your back. So you got to sit real stare and look like a deer looking in a headlight. And if you get paper and wipe from behind, flush all over your back. So you got to get it, and you got to get the paper, and you got to very slowly wipe from the front. It takes you about 10 minutes to wipe. In fact, it's so goddamn frustrating. I usually go poop next door at Pizza Hut or save it till I get home. But all the patients think, oh my God, there's no doorknobs, there's no handles. This place is state-of-the-art industrial strength. And the front office, find out why the hell they left. How can I do internal marketing without you finding out why they left the last office? And once you get to the attribute or the thing that caused the sale not to close at the last office, as soon as you identify it, I can internally market, address it, and close the sale. All I need is data. They're 10 times more likely to tell you're the dental assistant or the hygienist than me all day long. Okay? Reward referrals. Every month, our receptionist runs a report. You have one person do it. You have the head receptionist, you have the greeter, you have the insurance coordinator. That way, your job description, one person's in charge. But two people in charge, something never gets done. So one person will run the monthly new patient referral deal, and then what we'll do is we'll send that person a mug. It'll have our mug on there, today's dental 893 care, and a little card in there say, Dear Mrs. Jones, the greatest gift a patient gives is a referral or friend or loved one. Thank you so much for referring Johnny, who's a pleasure at our office, yada, yada, yada. And then the reports, and we're looking at reports, and this is like the third patient they referred in last year. We'll throw in some movie tickets, and sometimes some people will refer some really big case or whatever, and you got all the tickets to the sporting events, and you want them all tax-free, so you buy them with your office cash and stick them in mugs every once in a while. There's our mugs. There's our card. We put in some candy mugs. Now, at home, I don't send this to their home because usually when they call to make an appointment, usually a good receptionist say, well, did you want to make an appointment for your kids, your husband, anybody else, yada, yada, yada. So we mail this to their work because at their work, that's where everybody has a dental insurance. Can you imagine you're at work? And most people, everybody thinks of work as like a factory. Only 13 out of 100 people work for the Fortune 500. Most people work for a small business, 25 employees or less, doing less than $1 million in sales. And all of a sudden, the UPS man comes in. He says, "Can you please sign?" And she's like, "Oh, what's this? A package for my dentist?" Well, maybe my crown just came in. And they're opening it up, and there it is, a candy. And see, most people need rewarded for their behavior. Most people don't even know they did the behavior that caused this to happen. So they say, "Thank you for referring Mark to your office." "Mark, did I refer you to Today's Dental?" "Well, you came back and you said it was great. You said they took your insurance, they had nitrous oxide, and it was tooth-colored fillings, and you had that picture and warranty, and you said you couldn't believe it was the best experience you ever had at a dental office, and I had been for 5 years, so I went there." See, they don't even know this transaction took place, and I rewarded it. And everybody else in the office is just drawing attention like, "Really? So both you guys went there and they take our benefits? Where's he at? Where's their hours? Yada, yada, yada." I mean, apes are so gosh darn easy to figure out. I mean, I can't believe everyone's not a millionaire at 30. Same thing with the religions. The number one social network is religion. That 36% of the percentage market share of the major religious memberships in the United States, 36% Catholic, 22% Baptist, 8% Methodist, 6% Pentecostal, 5% Lutheran, 3% Latter-day Saints. My mom used to get mad at me a little because when we were little, she's very devoutly Catholic, and I don't know why, but whenever she was talking about someone else, she'd always have to tell me, "Well, that lady, Judy Smith, she's a Lutheran, She'd always have to identify their religion. I thought it was the weirdest thing. So I started always, she started slapping me about age 10. Whenever she'd say their religion, she'd say, "Well, Judy Smith, the Lutheran lady?" I'd say, Lutheran. Mom, Lutherans, weren't they the first Catholics that could read? And I made up a comeback for every time she'd identify the religion. I'd have a different comeback. But when I moved in my little neck of the woods, I went to every church, Baptist, Methodist, Pentecostal, Lutheran, Latter-day Saints. I went to every one of them, 18 churches in my backyard, and I said, "Hey, my two oldest sisters are nuns. One's a cloister Carmelite monk in Minneapolis, St. Paul. One's the Immaculate Heart of Mary nun in Wichita, Kansas. Some dentist is fixing their teeth free. I want to return the favor. I'm telling you, you come to me, I'll fix up you, your whole family's, everybody's teeth free. I will do this. This is just giving back my little deal, yada, yada, yada." My gosh, the first 2 veneer cases I did were across the street at the Lutheran church. I did more veneer cases on 70-year-old ladies coming in there saying, "Oh, the minister's teeth look gorgeous." And I went up there and he said, "You did them." The first 2 ortho cases I did were on their wives. Then I do veneers on them, ortho on their wives, and all these people are going up there. Now, who does the minister's wife? Who does she go to for ortho? Oh, right across the street, Today's Dental. I mean, people, this is a no-brainer. You feel good. And I like to do charity, but I can't stand doing charity on pigs, milking the system. They're collecting unemployment because they just want to watch MTV all day or whatever. But I say to the ministers and these priests and all that stuff, I say, if you really find someone in true need, where they're not lazy, stealing, or just jerking the system, but someone who's in true gosh darn need, if you take my card and say, "Dear Howard, please fix this person up and send me the bill. I understand what it means. I will fix them up like I want to be treated, like you want to be treated. There'll be no bill." And then they think, "Well, wow, that's something else." And I get 1 or 2 of these cases a month. Usually it's some 60-year-old lady who's got like a 45-year-old retarded kid at home, and they Medicaid or won't cover them. Or I had one the other day, and I don't remember the case it was because I usually don't get involved in that, and I fixed that. Anyway, he put it in the church bulletin. All of a sudden, on one Monday, I got like 9 pecan pies, pumpkin pies, all this stuff delivered to my office. And sure enough, this lady finally brought in. They had mentioned it in the church bulletin or whatever. And this is easy stuff for the community. It's fun to do. It makes you feel good. All these churches are always trying to raise money. So sit there and get on Microsoft Word or desktop publishing, any Microsoft product. You can make stuff like this in 5 minutes. I made this one on PowerPoint. And it's good for a free examination, full set of dental x-rays, regular cleaning, fluoride treatment, gum disease screening. Present this certificate at today's dental at the time of your appointment. Call 893-CARE for an appointment, blah, 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 blah. And the church, they're always having raffles or raising money for this or that. I have 9 of the 18 churches within 5 miles of my office. I do all the minister's work, and I'd say church referrals alone are 40 new patients a month. And it's fun. It's the funnest stuff I do. And, patient education sheets, talk about warranties, we talk about WeCare calls. I keep saying it over and over because it's so simple. Everybody thinks they bought this tape because they're going to hear this really interesting, complicated flea picker flare, a reverse roll, some wildly complicated football play, the Hail Mary pass. That ain't how you become 100% better. You become 100% better by doing 100 things 1% better. It's the block, it's the tackle, it's the reception, it's the pass, it's the little things that all add up. It's every time a new kid comes in, you take a Polaroid picture and say, my first dental visit, I saw Dr. Howard Farran, my hygienist was Chris Hickson. Sometimes these moms ask if they can have 2 or 3 of these for grandma and grandpa. It's getting the staff to practice what you preach. You know what it's like when you go check out a patient and they bring in this deal that they got from Discus Dental's Night White about, well, these are what my teeth look like now, and they said it'd look like here. Do you really think that'd work? And the receptionist pulls out and says, well, here's mine. That's what mine look like, and look at them now. In fact, it's just, man, when everybody's into it, it really comes off good. The best thing about internal marketing is you notice how whenever someone's running for a president, they're always out there parading their kids around, all that kind of stuff, and you think, cheesy politician. Well, that's the real meaning of your community. It's about families. A city is nothing more. The United States may have 270 million people, but it's really 100 million households living in 300,000 neighborhoods. It's not the United States of America. Ask someone where they live. How many say, I live in the United States of America? No one says that. No one flies the flag. No one lives in the national anthem. They don't even say they live in Phoenix, Arizona. I never met anyone in my neighborhood who said I live in Phoenix, Arizona. I say, where do you live? Oh, Watuki. See, it may be 250,000,000 people. They may live in 100 million households, but they have 300,000 neighborhoods, and it's the village. And the village is made up of a subunit called the household family. It's about daddy bear, mommy bear, and baby bear. And the meaning of life for a society is the child that's going on. That's why every time I had a baby, here's my firstborn, Eric, I would take out not only did I have pictures of my family all over my office, but I always took out a full-page ad in the Ahwatukee newspaper, and there's a full-page ad that says, Dr. Howard and Judith Farran would like to announce their new patient of the month, or their patient of the month, Eric Wells Farran, date 9/11/89, time, weight, cavity, 0. That ad cost me $500, got $2,000 in baby gifts. My wife's Catholic, so she had a kid every 14 minutes until I finally pulled my plumbing out. Here's the second one, Greg. Dr. Howard and Judith Farran would like to announce their patient of the month, Gregory Wells Farran, DDS to be, weight, length, time, born on President's Day. Need I elaborate? Cavity, 0. Ad was still $500, got about $4,000 of baby gifts. All I ever wanted was a girl. I told everybody when we got married, I told my wife, all I want is a girl, because I know that if you don't have a girl and all you have is boys, you'll end up dying in some Medicare nursing home, and your boys won't even know what state you're in. But, if you have a daughter, you'll have your little hat on and your booties, someone feeding you applesauce. So we kept trying for a girl, and then the third one came out. It's a girl, not. 3 boys in a row. Ryan Wells Farran, born, time, second quarter of the Suns game. Sir Charles at the line for 2. Then I wrote on the bottom, if you know how to make a girl, call Dr. Farran at 893-1223. Not only did we get about $6,000 of the baby gifts for a gosh darn $500 ad, I got 100 letters by serious people on how to make a girl. And now I understand why 1 in 5 people watch The Wheel of Fortune, and people are calling the psychic hotline with Dionne Warwick. You couldn't believe the damn letters these people wrote. And my damn wife, she'd only do about 1/3 of those letters. And then I tried one last time, and finally, it's a boy. This was the last straw. This was Zachary. I named him, alphabetically, Eric, Ryan, or Eric, Greg, Ryan, and Zach. Old Zach came out. True story. We were now, 10,000 charts. We had to hire a full-time employee for 90 days to log in all the gifts, to send back a greeting cards. We got like 9 car seats, 7 wagons. We got 1,000 outfits. 1,000 outfits for a $500 full-page ad. I still have, the first thing half the little ladies say to me, now, how old's your little Eric now? Jen would sit there and she'd call me out there waiting. She'd say, Dr. Frank, come here. This lady just brought in this blanket, and I'm looking, okay, it's a blanket. Who cares? What is she, a peasant? Dr. Fran, this is crocheted, macrame, this, that, quilted. This took her 100 hours, and I'm out there, and I said, well, who did it? Don't you know? And she walked me in the waiting room, and she said, now go out there and give her a hug. And I'm like, Jan, which one is she? She's the one on the left. I don't know why this lady spent 100 hours crocheting a rug or a quilt or a macrame or whatever, and you go out there and you give her a hug. It's the people stuff that build, that's the solid glue. The family is the social building block. Like the periodic table is made up of hydrogen, helium, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, chlorine, what have you. The building block of society is the family unit. Everybody comes from a family. And the other social network we do is everybody. February is Dental Health Month. So what do? We get 5,000 gallon bags. We go to the Office of Dental Health. We get brochures on sealants, gum disease, whatever, tar wars now. And we put in a toothbrush. Do not sell Howard Farran. I don't have, this is too much marketing for one guy. We only sell Today's Dental 893 Care. We put in our last newsletter, business card, whatever. We send the hygienist to all the high schools. We send the dental assistants in the grades 2 through middle school, explaining dental health. We send the receptionists only to the babysitting daycare places, because receptionists, we don't want them teaching dental education because they ask too many weird questions. They're always the one running back to you with an x-ray saying an FMX going out. Which tooth got the root canal? Mary, come here. One of these teeth looks like it was shot with a handgun. All the others are fine. Quit jerking at me, Dr. Brand. I need to know right now. So we send them all the daycare places. And I only like to do first graders. And I only like to do first graders because whenever you're lecturing to first graders, you know somewhere in the room is your next wife, and you're just trying to find her. And you're just looking around the room. And, my President Clinton, his girlfriend was 30 years younger. I'm just kidding. And so you sit there and have your, your cards on your desk. Let them know this is internal marketing. The greatest compliment or patient give is a referral or a friend or loved one. And Jim Rohde sold me this a decade ago. Put it keychains. Give out magnets for a refrigerator. Here's my genius buddy, Steve Hayes, General Family Dentistry. You should have this guy lecture at your deal. I've stole more things from Steve Hayes than anybody else I can think of in America. Call him up at 602-860-4111. He's up in North Scottsdale, kicking him dead. Internal marketing builds your practice by keeping patients in your practice, by closing the back door, while at the same time developing new referrals from your current patients. It's from patient exit interviews. Why did you not come back? Why were you upset? Why did you leave? What exactly was it? And I don't like doing patient exit interviews because actually, of 31 staff members, I actually get in trouble the most. They always say, well, when Dr. Farran was talking during that root canal, he was saying that all public schools are taught by a bunch of Democrats and they all suck and they all rape the system. And I've been a school teacher for 30 years and I was massively offended, and he was making fun of Democrats, and I'm a card-carrying member of the Democratic Party. Basically, every time we do these patient interviews, the only thing it comes back with now after 12 years doing this is that I'm the source of most of the problems by talking to my patients. But give them patient education sheets. It's availability. It's accessibility. Why did you never come back? Well, gosh, I needed a filling, couldn't get me in for a week. I wanted it with you, Dr. Fran. They said you're in Australia, then Poland, then Canada, and I had to wait 3 weeks, and I'm tired of waiting for you to get back in town, yada, yada, yada. Give warranties. Educational coloring sheets for children. Rewarding referrals with gifts, mugs, movie tickets, tickets to the Suns. We try to give away tickets to the Arizona Cardinals, but whenever we send them, they always mail them back with a turd in the box. I'm not sure why. Excuse bad debts over sending to collection agency. Man, God, if something goes wrong, don't send them to collections and try to get, gosh darn, you're only going to get, research shows you get 5 to 8 cents back on the dollar, but you hacked off, you've embarrassed them, you've ruined their credit, they smear your name, they're never going to say they're a deadbeat. Have you ever heard a dental convention where the Democrats stood up and say, If we would just stay home and raise our own children, they wouldn't be running the streets. No one's ever going to take responsibility for their own dysfunctional behavior. They're always going to blame it on someone else. Usually the reason their kids are running the street is because you're home babysitting yours. It's always your fault, remember? So what is viral marketing? It's word-of-mouth marketing. It spreads like viruses. Some people are calling it word-of-mouth marketing. Read Guerrilla Marketing. The guy's got 3 books now on guerrilla marketing. These things are killer. Hey, that's internal marketing. And tomorrow we're going to talk about external marketing. So have a very fun night. Thanks for a fun day, and I'll see you back tomorrow. Until then, just do it.